Hey, what's going on, y'all? Thank you so much for tuning in this week. It's an incredibly special edition of MBTV. I'm going to introduce you to my newest partner, a group called Love Justice International. LJI has done some of the most incredible work trying to end human trafficking throughout the world. They have rescued tens of thousands of people from slavery, but because of COVID, they have sort of pivoted into feeding people that are at risk of starvation. Again, all over the world. So a few days ago, I had a chat with one of the guys that works on the front lines for Love Justice International. So take a look.
What would happen if we believed that every life was worth fighting for? That instead of seeing statistics, we would see the heartbeats and voices and laughter and people with breath in their lungs just like everyone else? But if we finally took a moment to look at our world, see the pain and the suffering, and instead of turning away, we did something about it? We could love people well and fight for the justice of remembering that everyone has a story, has a dream, has a desire to be something more than their circumstances allow them to be. Every person is valuable. Every person worth loving, worth holding, worth keeping safe from a fate no one was meant to face. What would happen if we believed that every life was worth fighting for?
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vice President of Africa Anti-Trafficking for Love Justice International, all the way from South Africa, Mr. Ryan Sobey. What's going on, Ryan?
Thanks,
How are
Marc.
you, sir?
Doing well here in South Africa. Thanks, Mark. It's evening, getting a bit cooler. We're in the winter, so you guys are getting into the good times over there.
No doubt, no doubt. So I was hoping maybe we could just start off with you telling me a little bit about how Love Justice International got started and what your primary mission has been up until now.
Right. Well, Love Justice has been going for around about 16 years. John, our president, when it started, it was kind of one of these organic things, and the way that it began. He was in Nepal and started having sort of a heart for the street children there and the kids, the orphan children. And so about 16 years ago, he started a children's home. From there, we haven't stopped that at all. From there, it grew. I think we've got about 18 homes across Nepal, India, and Bangladesh. But about 14 years ago, I think, just information around to the trafficking of women and what was happening to them as they were crossing from Nepal into India, they started looking for ways to stop the trafficking. And obviously, I don't want to go too much in depth. There's different ways of attacking trafficking. Some of that is rescue, which is amazing and has to happen. But really what he wanted to do was to find a way that was preventative and so that people were not exploited on the way to being, from the being trafficked. And so that's where transit monitoring came in. It wasn't our idea. We took it, adapted it, made it a whole lot better. We believe it's a whole lot better. And that was about 14 years ago. And from there, we've expanded across the world. I think to date, we're in about 15 countries. We've been in 17 countries in total. We're active in 15. We've got about nearly 50 transit monitoring stations. A transit monitoring station is a place where we have monitors on the ground looking for people who could potentially be trafficked, and they're trained in profiling, they're trained in questioning people to figure out if they are being trafficked, and then we can intercept them. We call it an intercept. When they're on their way to being trafficked, we intercept them, and hopefully they can have a future from there and not be trafficked. And so we've got about 50 of their stations across the world in Africa and Asia.
Incredible. I've read a lot of different information from sort of all sides of this topic, and I was hoping maybe you could sort of clear up what I would consider some muddy waters around human trafficking. How big of a challenge are we actually facing, both here in the U.S. and globally?
Yeah, so Mark, and it is muddy waters. Unfortunately, in some ways, there have been inaccurate stats that have been put out there. Currently, I would say what a nearly accurate stat would be around is about 40 million slaves, give or take. We're not 100% sure, and that's across the world. A lot of those would be in Africa and in Asia. But what we can do is, from our side, we don't know the exact stats, so no one really knows the ultimate prevalence of human trafficking across the globe. But what we can do is, because we've got this tangible method of intercepting people, gathering their data, which we can then use to get arrests, we can then kind of figure out what is happening in different areas. And so trafficking is different wherever you go. If you're in Asia, there's quite a lot of sex and labor trafficking. So as I mentioned before, girls from Nepal coming down to India, that would be for sex trafficking, and also a lot of labor trafficking in India. Where I am based in Africa, which I'm a bit more knowledgeable about in terms of the different areas, I would say there's in Central Africa, you're looking at kind of a lot of labor trafficking. So people being lured, basically being offered a better life somewhere else, and they're lured into different areas or different countries. And when they get there, their vulnerability is exploited and they become trafficked. And in West Africa, we've got a lot of child trafficking, both for labor on lakes, for fishing, on cocoa plantations, and very sadly for human sacrifice as well. A lot of that happens. In Southern Africa, down in Southern Africa, we've got quite a lot of sex trafficking and labor trafficking as well. So it does depend where you go. To say, since we started, we've had around about just over 21,000 interceptions. And so it doesn't sound like a lot when you look at 40 million that we have, but we know we're growing, we're getting there, we're figuring out how to do this on mass and scale. And so that data has led us to believe that the problem is really large. It's not, we shouldn't diminish it at all. We believe it's one of the worst injustices in the world that needs to be saved. But saying
I
that,
I would agree completely. And what's really fascinating about this conversation is, a lot of the times I think of human trafficking as something very secretive and something very personal. It's one person being secreted away to some location and locked away by themselves. But it's evident that there are huge groups that are being exploited en masse. We've got large groups of populations that are being lured to come for construction projects, and they're all housed together. How is it possible to rescue these massive groups? And is that part of Love Justice International's focus, or are there other organizations that are kind of taking the reins with that stuff?
Yeah, so I would say on a very small basis, we do rescues. We've got investigations teams in several countries, and they would investigate sometimes using the data that we collect from intercepts. And so we would use that data, hopefully get an arrest, because an arrest is really important, because if you just take someone, intercept them, or even just rescue them, you leave a hole for someone else to fill. And so it's really important that we get those arrests. We've had nearly 900 arrests with a conviction rate of around 54% on closed cases, which is really amazing. And that's from the data we've collected. So I would say there are organizations who are specialized in finding those construction projects, or those factories, those farms where people are held, and they rescue those. Ours would be, we want to get to those people before they're exploited, before they go through that trauma. Because once you've gone through that trauma, it may take a lifetime, if ever, to recover from the things that you've gone through. And so if we can get them before that moment, that's the beauty of the model, because we can intercept them and hopefully save them from that life of torture.
So I would imagine that this global shutdown has sort of hampered some of the traveling that goes on through human trafficking. How has Love Justice International realigned its focus to tackle current challenges that we're facing globally?
Yeah, so one of the things, as I said before, is we want to fight the world's greatest injustices. At the moment, we see that as children who don't have families. We've even got a school in Nepal because we believe children who can't get great education, that's an injustice. Obviously, human trafficking. But when you have a lockdown, as we've had over the coronavirus pandemic, basically it's an injustice that people cannot leave their home to go and earn their daily wage to go and get food. I mean, that's an injustice in itself. I mean, we get the reasons why, we get why these things have been imposed upon us, but it's an injustice. And so we pivoted during this period to provide food aid for those who desperately need it. And so we spent a couple of months just all coming together, working on the best system to do that. How do we find the most needy? How do we find those who are on the verge of death because of starvation? And how do we get them food? And so we started up in Nepal, moved into India and Bangladesh. We've got also countries who are under hard lockdown in Africa. We've now distributed food to tens of thousands of people who desperately needed it. And it's just been beautiful to see the way that we've been able to pivot in that way to respond to this injustice and help so many people. It's been really great. I think we over 30,000 people that we've helped so far. So it's been a really good process. Yeah.
Well, how can me and my fans help move things forward with Love Justice International?
Well, there's two major ways. The first way is that you can go to projectbeautiful.org. That'll take you to a website. That's our sort of monthly giving platform, and it's a great platform because once you start the giving process, you get access to an app, and that lets you see our intercepts almost real time. So you can see the stories, and you can see what we're doing, the tangible result that we're making. I mean, we're one of the few organizations where you can really pinpoint to say, here's the tangible result that your money is making, and you can see the difference your money is making. So you can see that result. Otherwise, go to lovejustice.ngo. Everything that we do is on there. You can see where the money's going. You can see how it's spent, and you can see the difference and impact that we're making.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Ryan. I can't tell you how proud I am to be associated with such an incredible organization. So thank you for this opportunity. I'm gonna actually toss it over to me and the boys down in Houma, Louisiana. A few days ago, we were able to set up shop and play some tunes. So we're gonna let our hair down. Since you guys do such incredible work and it's so serious, we thought we might try to maybe alleviate some of the stress associated with your work lately.
Great. Well, Marc, thanks for just having us. Thanks for just allowing us to tell our story. I think that's the most important thing. We really want to get our story out there. So thanks for the opportunity.
You got it, brother. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks so much, Ryan.
Cool. Oh, pleasure.
How about it, folks? That's incredible stuff. Yeah. Please help me help them. This stuff is incredibly important, and I think that those of us that can help, that are in a position to help, should. So let's play some music, shall we? Toss it back to the boys. See y'all soon. I mean, what a gem of a guy, and what an incredible organization. I'm so proud to be a part of this awareness campaign to try and turn some more folks onto LJI's mission. But you know, every once in a while, no matter how serious it gets, we gotta cut loose a little bit. So we got some footage with the boys. That's the good news, is that we get to see me back in the band setting, which quite frankly, I didn't know that it would ever happen again. So thank you so much for tuning in so much over the past few months. It's really given me the opportunity to kind of clear my head a bit, and try to make some moves towards the future, and obviously give my guys some more opportunities to work as well. So yeah, let's go play some tunes. What's going on, everybody? Thanks so much again for tuning in this week. As you well know now, Love Justice International has a very serious mission with an incredibly important cause. But like everybody on this earth, we got to let loose every once in a while. So that's what we're here for. We're here to help you take your hair down, sit back, relax. We're going to take you down this old road I like to call the Wanderer. Come on, boys. Dance on me, sweetheart, while I strum my guitar. Sure look pretty tonight. Just come off the road and I can use the company. Now it's suiting me just fine. Seen a lot of special things around this world. Can see them too, you can. It's that you ask, I have no name, I have no name. I am known only as man. I'm known only as man. I'm just a wanderer, I have no place or time. I'm just drifting on this lonely road up the mine. If you like, you can come along with me. But I promise you that I'm not the man that I used to be. I'm a wanderer. I'm just a wanderer. You and I, we've seen our share of ups and downs. Somewhere we just lost hope. I can't change the past, but who cares? Your love is all I've ever known. I've ever known. Your love is all I've ever known. Well, yeah. I'm just a wanderer, I have no place or time. I'm just drifting on this lonely road of mine. If you like, you can come along with me. But I promise you that I'm not the man that I used to be. 'Cause I'm a wanderer. know, it feels so good to read right here in the key of E. I want to stay right here in the key of E. Speaking of E, Mr. Joe Stark right here, he wrote a song years ago, many, many years ago. It's one of my favorite songs on earth. It's so simple, it's so beautiful. There's only 11 lines of original lyric. It's just a beautifully written song. It's called Easy to Love, and it goes something like this. Well, it's hard to stand tall.
Hard to stand tall.
It's hard to take a stand.
Ooh.
Even harder still to take a hand out. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Still feel like a man. It's easy to love you. It's easy to love you. Well, you're beautiful inside.
You're beautiful inside.
And you're beautiful to me.
You're beautiful to me.
You don't have to change, don't gotta change, don't change, don't change, don't change, don't you change anything, anything. It's easy to love you. Yeah. It's easy to love and love you. It's easy to love, 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 love. And I hope I never know the weight of losing you. I won't ever let you go away. Yeah, yeah. Ooh, yeah, 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 yeah. Is it love? Oh, it's easy to love for you. It's easy to love, easy to love for you. Darling, you make it so easy to love you. It's easy to love you. It's easy to love, love you. It's easy to love, easy to love. Easy, easy to love. Well, yeah, yeah. Easy, easy to love. Easy, easy to love. Come on now, you know what? It's fairly bizarre to be playing with these fellas in a room and finish the song and not hear a bunch of applause. It's slightly odd. It's pretty bizarre. But nonetheless, nonetheless, it's still ridiculously fun to be here. Thank you so much for joining us. Fellas, let's keep the party going, man. Let's do some come around. That's on you, Josie. Make that rock and roll, pal. Black and white till you came around. So baby, come around, keep on coming around. I didn't know wrong from right till you came around. So baby, come around, please keep coming around. There is nothing like the light of you. You amaze me with the things that you do. I'll do anything that you want me to. Don't you ever leave me alone. Yeah, yes, maybe you can use me in the way that you've been done. You know how to groove, dancing like a little boy. You do something to me. I just wanna lay you down anytime a place so come around. My life was full of doubt. You came around. So baby, come around. Please keep coming around. Never been so turned down until you came around. Oh baby, come around. Please keep coming around. There was nothing like the light of you. You amaze me with the things you do. I'll do anything you want me to. Don't you ever leave me alone, yeah. Baby, you can use me in the way that you've been done. You know how to groove, dancing like a little boy. You do something to me. I just wanna lay you down anytime a place so come around. Got to get on up. Get up. Ooh, get on up. Stay on the scene like a love machine. hear any noise, it's just me and the boy. It bangs, you gotta hit the bang. If you hear any noise, it's just me and the boy. It bangs, you gotta hit the bang. Come on! Hear any noise, it's just me and the boy. It bangs, gotta hit the bang. You wanna do now? I can't tell you who to sock it to. It's your thing. Do what you wanna do now. I can't tell you who to sock it to. If you want me to let it, maybe I will. Believe me, woman, it ain't no big deal. You need love just as bad as I do. Makes no difference who you give the thing to. Ah, it's your thing. Do what you wanna do. Don't let me tell you who to sock it to. It's your thing to do. Do what you wanna do. Don't let me tell you who to sock it to. Let's take a break. Good Lord. Oh, my word. That's ridiculously fun. Let's take them on out of here, y'all. Let's take them to that higher ground, huh? Let's get them on that higher ground, y'all. Good Lord. Uh-huh. Well. I said, people, you better keep on learning. Soldiers, better keep on worrying. Keep on turning, yeah. 'Cause it won't be too long. It ain't gonna be too long. Power, keep on lying. Found your people keep on dying. Yeah. Well, keep on turning, 'cause it won't be too long. It ain't gonna be too long. I'm so done glad you let me try it again. But my last time on earth I lived over a sin. So glad that I know more than I do. Keep on trying. Still I see my heart just
gonna keep on trying till I reach my highest ground. Oh no. Come on, Joseph. Said if I don't see it soon, maybe I might just go crazy. See another night here in this lonely room without your body next to mine. It makes me suffer, babe. Yeah, Lila, I'm running free with love deep inside. 'Cause until I see your face, I'm a dying babe. From my happy home, it seems the tears just fall like rain. If I don't feel your tender love, but I don't think this fever's no bad. Ain't tryna scare you, girl, just want you to know I will love you, baby, in case I go. 'Cause until I see your face, I'm a dying man. Know what it is, Josie. Seems the tears just fall like rain. Nightmares every night, thinking of you with some other man. I can't take it, baby, out on my own. This cold city is not my home. Until I see your face, I forgot your name. I'm so confident, let me try it again. But my last time on earth, I'm so glad. And I knew then gonna keep on trying till I reach my highest ground. I know. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Oh, my goodness. Let's toss it back down to St. Pierre. Let's get these boys back to their houses. Thanks so much. Peace.
Well, that's all the time we have for you today, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, you can catch us every week on YouTube on Thursdays at noon and Sundays at Facebook at 1 o'clock. We will see y'all next week. Enjoy. Take care.
What would happen if we believed that every life was worth fighting for? That instead of seeing statistics, we would see the heartbeats and voices and laughter and people with breath in their lungs just like everyone else. But if we finally took a moment to look at our world, see the pain and the suffering, and instead of turning away, we did something about it. We could love people well and fight for the justice of remembering that everyone has a story, has a dream, has a desire to be something more than their circumstances allow them to be. Every person is valuable. Every person worth loving, worth holding, worth keeping safe from a fate no one was meant to face. What would happen if we believed that every life was worth fighting for?